I made the single best discovery of my entire life, and I would like to share it with everybody, to be honest. So yesterday, after I had finished filming and editing and uploading my review of The Bye Bye Man, I went out shopping with my mum, and while I was out, I decided to look to see if I could find Moonlight on DVD, which I did. That was a success. I own this now. What I was also surprised to discover, for a very, very, very cheap price, was this DVD, Zombiesaurus. Now, Zombiesaurus is a really, really shitty B-movie. Essentially, a guy has taken a dinosaur, which for some reason he has, and he has made it into a zombie, and he's going to wreak havoc on the world using his Zombiesaurus. A military unit goes to this base where the dinosaur is being housed, and they go there with the intention of destroying it. At the same time, this group of teenagers or young adults end up thrown into the mix as well. They all end up at this facility, and from there, it's just a shitty B-movie. I mean, it is for the whole thing, but that's when things really kick off, and that's about half an hour into the film. Which leads me right on to the pacing of this film. All off. Well, for one, this film is only an hour and 22 minutes long. This is an 82-minute film, and they still managed to fuck up the pacing. The first 5 or 10 minutes is a prologue about this guy who has created the Zombiesaurus, and it's inconsequential. It doesn't really add any padding or background or context to any of what happens in the film. I mean, it explains a little bit of how it comes to happen, but not really, and it definitely doesn't explain why it happens. So we have no why, we have a little bit of how, and that how is that he infects a dinosaur, which he already has. It's suggested that he may have created the dinosaur, but we don't know how or why. So we just know that he has a dinosaur, and we're supposed to just accept that, and he makes it into a zombie. So the first 5 to 15 minutes of the film is just explaining that. Then we get the two groups of people, these teenagers and this military unit, meeting and going on their journeys and ending up at the facility, which takes about half an hour of film time. So already we're about 45 minutes into the film, and we've only seen the dinosaur briefly at the beginning. We're still waiting to see it and have it do some real action. Then you have the action, and then until the end of the film. It's exactly what it sounds like. They face off against a Zombiesaurus in a facility until the end of the film. They try and throw a little bit of a plot twist in at the end. You know it's not going to be good. Then roll credits. There is a brief animated credit sequence which is really cool. I'm not even going to knock it. I'm not even going to say that I'm going to praise it ironically. The animated sequence at the beginning of the credits, really cool. I really enjoy it. Then there's a brief little extra clip, and then the main credits. So the pacing isn't so much bad as it is non-existent, because there's 50-60% of the film dedicated to build-up, and then the rest of it is just carnage. The acting is really bad. It's exactly what you would expect. Again, this kind of film, this is on par with like Birdemic Shock and Terror or Sharknado. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. And so the acting is also not supposed to be taken seriously, and so it's not good. It's really not good. Everyone is overacting or underacting at all times. Either people are showing no emotion, or they are showing the very extremes of every emotion. There is no in between. Then we come to my favourite thing about this film, which is the special effects, the CGI. Most of this film is set against a green screen. Now, some parts are not set against a green screen. There are some parts in the desert, I believe, and there's a scene in a classroom at the beginning which aren't set against green screen. Everything inside the facility and outside the facility is green screen. At the beginning, we have a character who works at a university. Again, the classroom is not green screen. When he goes out into the halls and is standing in the corridors of the university, and when he's walking around outside, all of it is green screen. Every single second is green screen. This is a film with no budget. They could not afford to go to real places and do things. They had to have maybe 2.5 sets and the rest was green screen. And you can tell. The one thing that is not CGI is the Zombiesaurus. Its eyes are CGI because they glow green, but the dinosaur is a practical effect. It's a guy in a dinosaur costume, which I like. Think Jurassic Park and how it was a big robot that was actually operated instead of CGI. Imagine that, but with about 0 budget. The dinosaur is barely bigger than a human and doesn't move right, doesn't move at all like a dinosaur. It barely even moves like a person. It just kind of falls in directions and moves in that direction. It just kind of goes places in a really weird fashion because it's a really, really shitty dinosaur costume that like one guy is wearing and moving about in. So we have really non-existent pacing, non-existent acting, and non-existent sets. The only real thing about the film are the actors, barely, and the dinosaur itself. Those are some negatives. Now for the positives. The main positive being that due to the nature of this film, as a shitty B-movie that isn't supposed to be taken seriously, none of the negatives matter one fucking bit. At no point did I give a single shit that it didn't look very good or that the acting was bad. That increased my enjoyment of it because that's what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be a film that you sit down, you don't think about it, you know it's going to be bad, you watch it and you enjoy it for what it is, which is not very much, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of the dialogue is so bad and so badly delivered that I could not help but laugh. There is one girl in the film who says OMG out loud numerous times in the film and gets called out for it, and she's like, oh my god, why would you tell me off for saying OMG? It's just what the hip youths are doing. It goes for relatable and it really misses the mark. That makes it funnier. Every character simultaneously has no personality and one very specific personality. Like, they all act the same way, they all deliver their lines in the same way, but one of the guys is really, really into sport. 2 of them are really into video games. One of them says OMG out loud, and that's just the teenagers. You know, these characters aren't real, fleshed out characters, they're just archetypes, and it's fucking hilarious, and it really works for the film that it is. Also, the gore, despite not looking very good, is used pretty well. I would say, maybe, pretty well for what the film is, at least. There are some pretty gory deaths, and it doesn't look realistic, but you're still like, oh! Also, the plot, making absolutely no sense, just makes it all the funnier. Like, we don't know why there's a dinosaur there. All we know is that these guys are here to beat the shit out of a dinosaur. It doesn't make any sense, but you don't think about it. They offer you a little bit of backstory, still doesn't make any sense, and so you are just like, they're here to wreck a dinosaur, and that's absolutely fine. This is what I'm here to watch. I mean, it's a film called Zombiesaurus, with a Zombiesaurus on the front cover. I'm not here for plot, I'm here to watch some guys try to blow up a dinosaur. Apart from a few brief moments where I was like, okay, it has slowed down for no real reason, like sometimes when they're hanging about and just talking, and the dialogue that they're delivering isn't comedic or doing anything really, they're just standing about and saying stuff at each other, then it's a little bit dull. But besides that, every second I was like, this is amazing. The characters, despite having no personality and really not delivering their lines well, actually manage to be funny. Sometimes not even in the respect that they're so stupid that they're funny. Sometimes they are genuinely funny and they have some really good lines and they deliver them in a very amusing way. The rest of the time, when their lines are poorly delivered and not well written, it's still funny. The violence and the drama and the action is never like shocking, but it is, at most, very surprising. At a couple of moments, I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, okay, that's just what happened then. Okay, but not in a plot twisty way, just in a, oh, right, guess that happened. The fact that the CGI is so very, 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 very blatant makes everything more funny. makes it more enjoyable. You know what? This is probably going to be quite a short review because of what this film is. It's a film that you turn your brain off, you sit down and you watch it. You don't expect it to be good, but you expect to have a lot of fun with it, and you do have a lot of fun with it. I wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10, even for what it is, but it's a pretty fun time. If you're a fan of like zombie films or dinosaur films, as an actual person who casually enjoys films, then you're gonna fucking hate this. But if you enjoy really, really, really shitty movies like Sharknado, then this is exactly the kind of film that you're gonna love. This is classic B-movie material, and I could not have had a more fun time. Watch Wonder Woman.